Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers, and I'm going to have to light up one of my fake little tea light things because, I'm pretty sure you can't see me. Let me get over here. There we go, that's better. Alright, disclaimers first, as per usual. I'm sorry this is a little bit later than usual, but I decided to make cleaning out the coat closet my priority today. In particular, the bottom of the closet, which has been essentially storage of whatever crap we have in hand and have nowhere to put, slung carelessly in there, and it took a lot longer than I had anticipated. So, sorry for being late. Alright, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, as always, make sure to read the article by Neuroclastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called Behavior Modification Program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Neuroclastic refused. You know the drill, folks. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included is Neuroclastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to utilize your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion, and we do speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised. Now, in regards to deep diving, RFK Jr.'s insanity, it's a hell of a rabbit hole, but I have yet to have the question addressed in regards to the fact that my diagnosis affects each of us so vastly differently. He says nothing about it, folks. Hours and hours of searching until I think my eyeballs are going to bleed, and when suddenly doing things like cleaning out a closet seems restful. I do want to unpack his crazy. I try to get over my own bias, which very obviously I have not mastered quite yet. What I can tell you is a lot of the things I have caught where he's shown in its entire context, it sounds good. It sounds sane and even reasonable. Problem is, it doesn't hold up the snuff if you've actually worked in this field for as long as I have, as long as my friends have, the providers I've been friends with, co colleagues with, presented with. Yeah. So if you're just a regular Joe Schmo on the street, it sounds like the man knows what he's talking about, right? He knows all the right terms, all that jazz. But some of it really doesn't pass the sniff test, especially in regards of vaccines and autism. Within the diagnosis of autism, there is far too many variations to just single out a singular cause. Which is why, for so long, the idea has been, with suitable evidence to back it up, genetic and environmental factors, which depends on where you are, may influence a person differently here than here. To me, that makes more sense. But I want to present him in a way that doesn't show that I'm prejudiced against him. And I will say, as an autistic person, it has been extremely difficult. And I've had to deal in regards to my own ego to not just. You see where I'm going with this, right? I need to hear him as he actually is, not as other people want to present him. Nor do I want to have a massive flaw in judgment in regards to covering him, because I have worked in the field for so long, as well as been autistic and been through the service system and being around healthcare, hospitals, because my mom's worked in healthcare since before I could walk. It's probably going to take me more time than I would like to start putting things together for that. I will try to get to it as fast as I can. I'm still waiting on the new desktop computer that's replacing the work computer for the billing and coding classes. I'm working on it, folks, all right? I'm sorry for kind of dishing all that out on you, but I'm beyond frustrated. I need answers to particular questions in regards to his hypothesis, and I can't see where he has addressed them anywhere. Anywhere? Anywhere. Okay? Anywhere. Not even on Reddit, for God's sake. Alright. Before I go off even more, let's go ahead and get back to the JRC, shall we? Alright, where we left off last night. The FDA correctly notes that the state of the art in behavior intervention primarily includes positive behavioral supports. This is one area where you see that term being used correctly. Okay? Positive behavioral supports is hinting in this particular sentence to the overall umbrella, the different types of treatment programs and things that fall under, I like to call it PBS. So I'm glad to finally see it used correctly. My OCD is happy. Sorry. These encompass a wide range of approaches. Thank you! Who wrote this paragraph? You are a unicorn, a scholar, and a saint. Some more effective than others. Effective positive behavioral supports focus on the causes or triggers of SIBs and ABs. Precisely. Addressing the behavior itself while not addressing the trigger does absolutely jack shit. Believe me, from a professional as well as personal standpoint, I can vouch for that. If you really want to help behaviors get down to a baseline so we can be out and about and an active part of our communities, you gotta get to the triggers instead of punishing people for the behaviors. Punishing doesn't magically wave away our neurology. The punishment model also does not give us behaviors to replace those with. It's just the circle jerk of suck that is masking, exhausted, mask slips, behaviors everywhere. Rinse and repeat. Okay? And each time you rinse and repeat, when those triggers continue to go unaddressed, the fall gets worse. The behavior gets worse every single time unless the triggers are starting at the very least to be addressed. Which is just logic 101, but apparently logic is in small commodities these days. Somebody please, for the love of God, send the comment. I can't deal, folks. I can't deal. These may include a lack of appropriate communication supports, pain or sensory stressors, or emotional concerns. Sometimes it's a horrific mixture of all the things. A strong body of research literature shows that these supports are more effective than approaches that use aversives. No shit. You mean if you actually find the triggers and address them and began to build a treatment program directly around what's triggering these behaviors, it's more effective than just torturing someone? Surely you jest. I've been in this field too long, folks. There are times when I read things like, well, we gotta use shocks because nothing else works, and I have this horrible sinking in the stomach feeling that we are not quite as far away from medieval methods as we all like to pretend that we are. As the FDA notes in its in its comments, the most effective interventions considered irrespective of the person with a disability and emphasize the development of communication skills, cognitive strategies that allow people with disabilities to address and express their needs. In other words, it's why I have championed person-centered planning so damn long. Over 20 years. Because person-centered planning puts me, not my mom, not my stepdad, not my stepmom, it puts me in the driver's seat. I make the decision. When there's so many types of treatment programs that absolutely rob us entirely of our voice, bodily autonomy, the right to say no, person-centered planning, and also, as a part of that person-centered planning, utilizing community-based supports is what I would consider standard, the best standards. To me, that's what the gold standard looks like. There are situations where a person-centered planning may not be best. But at least starting around transition age, and by transition age, I define that means when you are coming out of high school and either going into the workforce or going into higher education, that's when you should begin that transitioning from more of the school-like setting into more of the person-centered planning with community-based supports there to assist with the process of going into a workforce or going to, especially if you want to go to secondary education. Trust me on that one. But yeah, that has been the standard I have preached for years. I have seen it work with people that the JRC would absolutely 100% refuse to believe that anything could help but our torture. Tell me it couldn't be true that any of those kids who I worked with in my state could in any way, shape, or form be as bad as the kids at the JRC. First off, bullshit. Major bullshit. Okay? Number two, the types of different treatment programs we've been discussing on this channel from day one is literally what everybody else uses except for the JRC, which is why I find it laughable that they were trying to, but what we do is state of the art. Karen, can I call you Karen? Step outside of your JRC bubble and look at reality. Look at the arc of the United States. The United Centers for Independent Living, the People First movement, the Neurodiversity movement, Disability Rights International, all these different programs and what we've been advocating for years. And not just that, look at the data. All right? The math isn't mathing. And coming from me, who, I'll be blunt, despises math with the entirety of my whole soul, that's saying something. All right, we got a little bit here towards the end, and then we're going to close up for tonight. There is simply no need for harmful shocks that cause needless pain and suffering to individuals with disabilities when effective positive interventions are available. Not only available, folks, but with actual proven track records. Whereas JRC, their insanity is the medicine of and torture of trust me, bruh. We all know what I think about trust me, bruh, in regards to evidence. Alright. time to close out. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get tend to get removed from time to time. You know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time this evening. As always, folks, we here at Smooling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all tomorrow night. Bye, everyone.